James Bigby didn't have an easy childhood. Many of us didn't, but this guy, well, he's paired in with the same. Some of us learned to deal with it and become better adults. Some of us don't. Now, James' mother, she loved to drink, especially when she was pregnant with her children. All bets were off. Give her a bottle of peppermint schnapps and she's 8 months pregnant, she's happier than a pig rolling around in its own excrement. Now, when James was born, as a toddler, going into his adolescent years, he had some issues. Probably either hereditary, maybe it was caused by the drinking that she would do while she was pregnant with all her kids. All of her kids had some form or another of mental illness. He would act out in school, be violent towards teachers, yelling, screaming, cussing. Eventually, he would be hospitalized and he would be diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. Also depression, severe depression. Paranoid thoughts would constantly ring in his head. So this guy goes to ninth grade, junior high school, and he drops out. He doesn't want to go to school anymore. He just wants to get in trouble. And in trouble he did. He would catch a sexual assault case. He'd catch a couple robbery cases. Do some time locked up. Maybe that'll teach him. And eventually, after the years of going to jail, prison, hospitalization, the electroshock therapy that he would go under when he would be hospitalized, he starts to kind of settle down as he becomes an adult. Now, this guy, James, he was probably bipolar too, because when he was normal, like just a regular guy, he could laugh with anybody. He had friends. As a matter of fact, he played a really funny joke on his mom. He took the screws out of her crutches, and when she went to go use them, she fell right on her face. Ha ha ha! Hey mom, it's a joke. Now get up and, dust yourself off. Just a little bit of joke ain't never hurt anybody. So eventually James would get a job in Fort Worth at Frito-Lay as a mechanic, fixing all those potato chip trucks that deliver all those tasty snacks to supermarkets. And he liked his job. Again, this guy was a congenial guy, you can kind of say. He did have friends. Maybe he would have issues, but those issues would, be staved off with medication. But then you stop taking your medication. I don't need that medication anymore. It makes me tired and lethargic anyways, so maybe I could do without it. So one day James is at work and he gets hurt. Maybe he slips and falls. Maybe something fell on his foot. I'm not really sure. So he gets hurt. And now at this time, he's about 32 years old. And he reports the accident to HR. Now, he gets hurt pretty bad because he can't work. I don't know the extent of his injuries, but maybe he threw his back out. But he's not going to be able to go to work for a while. So all of a sudden one day, these voices, they start yelling in James's head. Oh, okay. So they're trying to get me. They're trying to stop my workers' comp case from going forward. Now, who are those people that he thinks are out to get him, to stop his workers' comp case? Yes. Well, they're the very friends that he would hang out with. How could they do that to him? One of his friends, Michael Truckle, he can't believe that Michael would plot and scheme and plan behind his back. So he has something for Michael. So one day, December 23rd, 1987, he brings a couple of steaks over and some beers, goes to Michael's house and says, hey, let's grill some steaks and watch some football or whatever. So they're talking, and Michael goes to the kitchen. And as he goes to the kitchen, James sneaks up behind him and blows his head out with his .357 Magnum revolver. That's a pretty big gun. So after he does that, he's about to leave, and he's like, oh, the baby. Yeah, he has a 4-month-old baby, Jason. Well, he's got to take out the baby too. So he takes cellophane wrap and tries to smother the baby, but it's taking too long. So he just draws some water in the sink, stops it up, and then pushes the baby's head in the water until it stops moving. Now, after that, he's not done yet, because his friend Wesley Crane is also plotting against him. He goes to Wesley's house. He says, hey, man, let's, you want to go grill or whatever it is that he says. So they go to his truck. They go to the supermarket. As they're coming back, he pulls out that gun on Wes. He says, get out of the truck. And Wes is like, what the hell are you doing? He says, get out of the truck. And on a dirt road, he makes him get out of that truck, and he shoots and kills him. Now, the voices in his head, they're still going crazy.
Hide away, hide, snap out of it.
So there's one more person that is plotting against him that he needs to take out, and that's Frank Johnson. So he goes to Frank's house, and now by this time now it's about 3 a.m. So he knocks on the door, and Frank is sound asleep. It's 3:20 in the morning. What the hell is wrong with you? So he opens the door. He's like, what's up? What are you doing? James pulls out a shotgun and shoots him 3 times. Pap, pap, pap. And he falls dead right at his house. By the time Michael's wife arrives at home, she sees that her husband's on the ground. Now, at first she thinks he's unconscious. And then she's like, let me go check on the baby. She goes to the bathroom, and in the sink is her baby drowned. She calls 911. Detectives arrive. They're both dead. They start asking her all kinds of questions. Do you know who could have done this? And the only person that she could think of is James Bigby, because she knows that he has mental issues, but she doesn't know why he would do this. But he's always had weird thoughts and would say weird stuff at times, and she's always felt a little bit uneasy about this guy. So you couple that, and then the other people finding out that Frank and Wes were dead. And what do they all have in common? They all worked at Frito-Lay with James Bigby. So eventually they would put out a APB, and now this murder is all over the news here in Texas and Oklahoma. And eventually they would track him down to a motel in Fort Worth. They had already called the police on him because he was screaming about wanting to hurt himself, take his own life. And eventually they talked him out, placed him in handcuffs, took him down to the station. And they asked James here, they said, can you tell us what happened? And he said, well, Frank and Wes and Mike, they were plotting against me. They were trying to kill me, so I had to defend myself. And all of the mental illness starts pouring out of this man's bad brain. So eventually they charged him with the murder of 4-month-old Jason and Michael. They didn't charge him with the other murders. I don't know why. So they just went with those 2 murders. And he went on trial. And during the trial, during a recess, I don't know what happened. I don't know how this happened, but James right here kind of gets up and goes like he's going to go get some water. And then he runs to the judge's bench and finds a gun. And as they're realizing what he's doing, one of the deputies, I guess, I don't know if they had a gun on them, but he points the gun at the deputy. The deputy ducks, and James runs into the judge's chamber. So he gets into the judge's chamber and points the gun at the judge. And that judge, he stood up. He's like, oh, what the hell? And then he just lunges out James and grabs him. And by the time the commotion, a bunch of the whole court deputies, bailiff starts coming over there, and they subdue James and they grab the gun from him before he's able to kill that judge. They actually try to declare a mistrial because of that. And, because now the judge, he can't judge the case unfairly because he's been attacked by this guy. But the judge wasn't going for it. He denied the motion for a new trial. James was here. He was convicted of the 2 of the 4 murders, and he was executed March 14th, 2017. And a lot of people said this guy shouldn't have been executed because he was mentally ill. I don't know. But as I always say, payable on death. Payable on death. All right, guys. I'll see you.